Afghan and NATO troops, backed by helicopter gunships, launched a massive counterattack Wednesday against Taliban militants occupying villages near Kandahar. According to the Associated Press, 16 Taliban and 2 Afghani soldiers have been killed so far. This fighting comes as the US-led forces face the most menacing spring offensive the Taliban have launched since 2001. NATO's success now hinges on cooperation with neighboring Pakistan, whose porous borders allow free movement of Taliban fighters between the two countries. The Real News senior editor Paul Jay discusses the likelihood of a partnership between NATO and Pakistani security forces with senior news analyst Aijaz Ahmad.
Thank you for joining us for part 2 of our interview with Aijaz Ahmad on Afghanistan and Pakistan and what next. One of the what nexts would be an increased military action on the border, NATO, American forces, but it only works if it's done in some kind of collaboration with Pakistan forces. Is that possible?
That there is some escalation militarily and more is threatened on the part of the United States and NATO directed at Pakistan is an actual fact. But in order, I think, to understand the complexity of the situation, we need to step back just a little bit to the moment when Musharraf was challenged, a democratic movement grew in Pakistan. The Americans at that time had a very neat formula that they had worked out, both with the People's Party and with Musharraf, in which Musharraf will stay president, the People's Party will form the government, General Kiani would come in, and things would be in place.
And it was thought that Benazir Bhutto had made a deal to greenlight American-Pakistan action against the tribal forces and al-Qaeda, and then with Bhutto's assassination, much of this seemed to unravel.
Well,
so where does it leave us?
The deal has been inherited by her husband. So that part of the deal, in a sense, is still there. What actually happened once the democratic process got going is that another major force on the civilian side, that of Nawaz Sharif's Pakistan Muslim League, entered into the scene and now is very much a part of the coalition government and in fact forms the government in the largest province in Punjab and has taken it upon itself to represent the sentiment, the extremely widespread sentiment in Pakistan that if a war is to be fought on terror, it is for the United States to fight it. Pakistani military should not be fighting America's war. There's a lot of demagoguery going on there and so on. So that is one thing, that they did not obtain a political arrangement that they had looked for at the center.
And where is the Army? I mean, in the final analysis, it really is going to be what is the Army willing to do or not do?
In the final analysis, the Army does not now have as much power to dictate what needs to be done as it did a year ago before all this democratic process began. That in the northwestern frontier province, where all of this insurgency is in fact located, you have a strong Pashtun government, a regional government, which is determined to have a negotiated settlement with their Pashtun brethren in the Taliban or whatever, and are much more reluctant to go for a full-fledged military option. That is one. The other thing is that the Army, there are two different forces working there and different currents working there. There is a very strong current in the Army which says that we have given 1,000 lives, the Pakistan Army. 1,000 Pakistani soldiers have died in the military operation. Neither has the military operation brought us peace, nor has it brought us appreciation from the United States. And the only way to go is peace.
There's been a lot of reports in the last few weeks about ISI tipping off the tribal leaders when an attack might come, sort of under the table relations between the sections of the Pakistan military, the ISI, tribal leaders, and perhaps even al-Qaeda. You have Karzai saying Pakistan's doing so little, we're going to have to cross the border ourselves. Where did all this lead?
I think that is part of the negotiations. Part of the negotiations is that you, the Taliban, or whatever you call them, those Islamic extremists, will not undertake any kind of military action inside Pakistan. That you will not break the peace in Pakistan. Over a period of perhaps 3 months, 6 months, a year, you will regroup inside Afghanistan. As few of you as possible would remain inside. But in lieu of that, We will give you a sort of a
Hold
cover.
on. We'll regroup in Afghanistan or regroup in Pakistan?
Regroup in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
Right.
Not
leave
use Pakistan
Pakistani
as
territory.
the base.
Yeah.
In other words, they really, what you're saying is the agreement would have to be they shift their bases mostly into
That
Afghanistan.
is what the Pakistani side wants. What the Pakistani side is saying is, you will not destabilize this part, you will not destabilize Pakistan, you will not try to create Islamic Emirates on Pakistani territory, and so far as your fight in Afghanistan is concerned, we understand your Pashtun national sentiments, but in order to do that, you have to fight in Afghanistan.
Where are those negotiations, particularly since the US bombing last week?
In Pakistan, most people are saying that the principal objective of those bombings was to disrupt the negotiations. And of course, the negotiations have fallen apart. The other result of those bombings is the strengthening of Musharraf. Because now there is a strong sentiment not only among the military elite, but also part of the political elite, especially the People's Party, the dominant party, saying that only Musharraf really has the experience to negotiate our way out of this great impasse. He has dealt with the Americans, he has dealt with the Afghans, he has dealt with the NATO. We don't have anybody who really has this kind of experience, so let him stay president. 2 weeks ago, before those bombings, Musharraf seemed to be on his way out. Today, I think Musharraf has been strengthened by these.
In the next part of our interview, let's discuss what is the potential or possibilities of a major US military action inside or on the Pakistan border. Please join us for the next part of our interview with Aijaz Ahmad.